Thank you for joining us for the series of UCSC reimbursement training presented by the Business Office with the Baskin School of Engineering. This video will include step-by-step instructions on how to complete the UCSC Entertainment Reporting Form, also known as an ERF. This form is generally used for reimbursement of food, beverages, and supplies for an event. So on the screen, I have located the Financial Affairs website and the section for entertainment and events. And I want to show you how to get to this page. So open your browser, open a tab, and go to financial.ucsc.edu. Then you come to the Financial Affairs main page, and you want to go to the Processes and Services tab and go down to Entertainment and Events and click there. And that opens you up to this page with lots of information about filling out an ERF and what is allowable. So I want to point out the first thing is if you need help with entertainment and events, as far as filling out the form, there's an entertainment help email, which is entertainmenthelp@ucsc.edu, and you can see that in the lower left corner. If you want to look at the guide to get an idea of all the different options for spending through entertainment and events, you would go to the guides and info and you would open up this section. And there's a lot of great information in here. I think that it's great if you can review it before you start an ERF. I'm going to go back and we're going to continue on. There's the maximum spending rates section, and this will change with time. So right now breakfast is $27 per person, lunch is $47 per person, dinner is $81 per person, and refreshment is $19 per person. And that will depend on the time of day that your event is. Over on the right side is where you'll go to the Entertainment Reporting ERF form, and we're going to click on that and we're going to open up the form. Okay, and you'll need to log in order to get into the form. And if you have any difficulty logging in, you'll need to go to entertainmenthelp@ucsc.edu. Then we get to the dashboard for the entertainment and events, and we're going to do entertainment. So we're going to click on that icon. Then a box will open up, and you can do several things here. You can start a new ERF, look up a particular ERF number, see what ERFs are in process, see what's been submitted, see what's been closed, and other options. We're going to create a new entertainment form. So we're going to click on Create a New Entertainment Form. And the form's going to open up. And the first thing it's going to need you to identify is the name of the event. Notice it says this cannot be changed after you've created the record. So keep that in mind when you create your event name. So you can use a name, you can use a date, information, whatever you would like to help you identify what this ERF is. And notice you can only have up to 30 characters. Then you're going to need to choose the funding department. So there's a drop-down box, and your drop-down will have your specific department And generally, it's engineering if you're working with the engineering office. So now that we've named our event and selected our funding department, we're going to create new entertainment record. So we're going to click that, and it's going to open up a new window. And in here is where you're going to put your information about the entertainment expenses or the event that you have upcoming. Generally, this ERF will be used for two types of things. One for a pre-event or two after the event. So pre-event would be where you need a purchase order and you need to get pre-approval and then get this signed and then upload it to Cruise-By to create your purchase order and get that approved. Not every department requires that, so you'll have to check with your department to see if they require that. Or you may use this for reimbursement. Say you've already had your event and you want to get reimbursed for expenses. Keep your receipts, and you always want to print out any supporting document about your event, like the flyer, an email, agenda, anything like that that can be attached as supporting documentation. Your receipts should be original receipts. They should be itemized receipts, and they should also show proof of payment. Okay, so you can see at the top of this form, there's some boxes here for you to select different options. So this is a very interesting form in that it has what's called a check-in phase. So check-in is what you need to do every time you close the ERF. So it gets checked into the system. While you're working on the ERF, you want to save progress. And there's an option here to cancel the ERF if you decide that you don't need it. And then at the bottom, we also have our check-in, save progress, and submit. We're going to work with all of those, but the submit is once you have all the information in the form and you want to submit it. Only all it does is bring up the form with print boxes, print signature boxes. So it doesn't really submit it to anywhere. So when you hit submit, signature lines will come up at the end of the form, and then you print it, and then you get your signatures for it to be processed. And we'll go there that's when we get to the end. Okay, so we have our event name. We have our department, and as was stated earlier, you can't change those. So event type, you're going to have a drop-down box, and it's going to show you different types of events. If we go back to the Entertainment and Events page, I want to show you how you can know what type of event. In the Entertainment Expense Guide, we're going to open that up. There is an account codes option, and we're going to open up account codes and click on account codes again. And there's a drop-down box that comes up with a list of different types of expenses. So if you're not too sure what kind of expense the event is, this is a good guide. It will show you what the different types are, a description of the different types of events, whether a host is required. A host means that somebody needed to be at the event and is signing the ERF also as the host for the event. So an additional signature would be required. And these account codes will pre-populate according to which type of expense you are choosing when you create your ERF. All right, so that's a great resource. We'll go back to our form, and we're going to choose business meeting. And then you want to choose the event frequency. How often is it happening? We're going to say that this is a one-time business meeting, but you can choose weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, and you can see other is there are certain policies. So you would need to go back to the guide to look and see if the policies are met. So we're going to do one time. You need to answer whether spouse, partner, family is attending. If they are, you'll need top level approval, which generally means that a senior officer needs to sign the form also. So if you choose yes, it will remind you top level approval is required. In this instance, we are not going to have a spouse, partner, or family attending the meeting. Then the next question is, will alcohol be consumed or present? So not just will alcohol be present, but also consumed. So even if somebody donates it or an attendee personally purchases it, and if the event has any alcohol there, you need to state yes. And if you do state yes there, then again, you need top level approval required for the event. And there's a note here letting you know alcohol cannot be charged to state or federal funds. So you'll have to work with your department to decide on what funding is going to pay for the alcohol portion of the event. And then there's an additional requirement that the campus police need to be notified if there are 50 or more participants for your event where there's going to be alcohol. So for this business meeting, there will not be alcohol. Let's go back here. I realize that if you say yes, is this a reimbursement request? Or no, you need to choose that also if the reimbursement request is regarding the alcohol. So even if you have alcohol and no reimbursement request, you want to say yes, there's going to be alcohol. No, I don't want reimbursement request. Or yes, I do want reimbursement. And then you need to choose whether the university funds will be used to pay for the alcohol. All right, and in this instance, we are not including alcohol at our event. Okay, so now the purpose of the event, you want to put in a description here of what the event includes. And then I would start saving progress. So I'm going to hit Save Progress. And then you need to put in the event date. So you click on the calendar and a date will populate. A calendar will populate for you to choose the date. And then the next section is your meal types. And you'll see we talked about the different amounts for the various times of the meal. And you can see the actually hours that what breakfast, lunch, dinner includes. So this is going to be a lunch. Then you need to select the location of the event. So you've got on-campus, restaurant, hotel, or other. This is going to be a lunch on campus. Then the next section is a guest list. So for every participant that is at this meal, you need to list who they are. So you can do that one of two ways. You can directly input the information of the guest list in the form, or you can include it as an attachment to the form. If you include it as an attachment, you still need to print out that attachment and attach the hard copy to the ERF when you submit it, so the individuals approving it can see what attachment you have attached. We're going to actually put it directly in the form. So our number of participants for this meeting is 2. So I'm going to put 2 in how many participants. So 2 is the number of participants that I need to have in my guest list. So let's enter in their name, their title, their affiliation, and then to add an additional guest, you're just going to hit this little down arrow and another box will open up. So depending on how many guests you have, it's easier to type it in this form or attach it as attach the list. Okay, continue. We're going to hit Save Progress. Number of occurrences, only one time, so if that needs to be something else, go ahead and populate that there. Okay, so now our first expense. What is our first expense? So you can choose a reimbursement, a recharge, or a purchase order. And purchase order could be to a vendor that is already a vendor in Cruise Buy, such as UC Catering, Safeway, Palace for supplies, so a variety there. In this instance, we just want a reimbursement for this business meeting lunch. So we choose reimbursement, and then we want to go in and say how much was the food and beverage for this lunch. Okay, remember the maximum amount for the lunch was I'll get to it. $47 per person. And actually, it will populate that here at the bottom. I just remembered. So maximum per person is $47 since I chose lunch. If I chose dinner, the form will change and it's $81 per person. Okay, back to lunch. And the lunch was $42. Supplies are generally if you are getting cups, paper cups, plates, forks, ice, any of that kind of stuff for your event. And then you could make notes in here about the supplies, such as supplies for outdoor event. But this wasn't an outdoor event, so we'll take that out. But just an example, if you can describe the supplies, that's very helpful. Okay, total automatically populates. The next is the payee name. So you want to put in the person that wants reimbursement for this lunch. Last name, comma, first name. Then select address type. So you can either select address on file or their official mail stop. And then you can put in their mail stop and their email address, payee email. And then if you have an additional expense, you would click on this right here, add additional expense. And that's going to open up another box for you to add additional expenses. And you just go through and populate the information just as we did in the previous expense number 1. If you don't need this, you can close it and remove this expense. Okay. Let's save our progress. Click on Save Progress. All right, you can also add an additional payee if there's more than one payee for this expense. You just open up that box and add in the additional payee and put in the appropriate information. But we don't have an additional payee, so you're going to click that and remove that payee and OK. Back down here, we want to put in our funding. So you want to put in your FOPL. So the fund is 5 numbers and the org is 6 numbers. The account populates automatically. Activity is optional. If this is already an exact expense and for reimbursement, you want to actually put the actual amount paid out also in the actual post column. Now, if you were to split this out for possibly part of it will be alcohol, you can click on Add Additional FOPL, and then you can populate your FOPL that's going to be for the alcohol portion and put in the amount for the alcohol. But we're not going to do that in this instance, so we're going to close that additional FOPL line. Okay, so we've got a really basic ERF here. You can just continue adding expenses, and meals also can be added. So if you're done adding this expense, you can open this up and you can add the additional event information and meal and location and a guest list and the expenses. But we're just going to do one for this instruction. And we're going to close out. Okay, so at the bottom you'll see your total was $42. Your maximum per person was $47. Your per person cost was only $21. So you are under the per person rate, so you're fine there. And at least one person has to attend. If you want to add additional editors, people that can be able to get access to this ERF to be able to go in and add items or change items, you can add an additional editor in here by putting in their email address. And you can also add any notes and comments down here for your own purposes. So we're going to save our progress. All right, we have our first ERF created. And what we want to do next is I want to just show you what happens when you check it in and how you open it back up again without submitting it. Let's say you don't have all the information and you need to check it in and come back to it at a later date. So always save progress and then check it in, and a window is going to come up and identify that you have checked in this ERF, and you can close the window. So we're going to close the window, and now to get back into it, you want to go to the Financial Affairs website, this one here. You want to go to the Entertainment Reporting ERF again. You want to go to the entertainment icon, and this time you're going to go to In Progress. And you'll look at the list of ERFs in progress, find the one that you want to open back up again, and you click on it and it will open the form again. Now you can go in and make any changes that you would like to the form. All right, so our form's complete. We've saved progress and we are ready to submit it. So once you submit it, then as I mentioned, the signature lines populate at the bottom. So the signature lines will populate with the particular lines that are needed for the type of event that you are getting reimbursement for. So if it's an event that needs a host signature, a host signature will populate down here for you to make sure you get a host signature also, which would be required. But this one doesn't require a host signature, so it doesn't have that signature line. Okay, so we now have our signature lines. We're going to print this ERF. We are going to sign it as the requester. You can actually put your name in here if you want before you print it. And you can put the date. You can add other people's names too if you want to print their names for them. That's a great idea. Save progress as you make changes. So after you print this form, you're going to sign it as the requester. You're going to attach your original receipts, itemized receipts, proof of payment. You're going to attach supporting documentation, the flyer, agenda, or email, identifying the event. And you're going to submit this to the business office for the School of Engineering. And we're currently in BE 345 is our location. And what we will do is we will review it to make sure everything's attached and in proper input of information. And we will have the additional approvals for the FOPL. So depending on what org you have and who is the funding approver for that, you may need to have them sign it. Or if it's something that we have signed for people in our office, we would have them sign. And you always have an EOA signer and sometimes an EEC signer also. So that would be signed through the business office. All right, so you've now printed it. You've got everything attached. You've got your signatures that you need to get. And then you submit it to the business office. So once you're done with that, you can check it back in again. All right, now let's say you realize that the business office lets you know that you need to make a modification to the ERF. So you can close it and we'll close you checked it in. And so you can come back here and go back to your ERFs in progress and open it back up again. And it's going to let you know that you need to open edit form requires resubmit. So we want to click on to open the form. If we don't, you won't be able to make any changes in the form. So let's say we realized that there was 3 people at the event. 3 people had lunch. So we're going to add another person. And save progress. All right, and then that will, of course, change your per person cost. And you're still within the $47 per person, so we're good there. So now you can submit it again. Save progress first. Submit. And again, it will populate the signature lines. So then you would have to have the signature that printed and the signatures in place again. Once you have done that and you've submitted it to the business office, you can always check it in, make sure that it's checked in. And you can close the window. And again, anytime you want to know particulars about the entertainment and expenses guide, go to processes and services, entertainments and events, and here's the expense guide. And it gives you an overview before you start, what expenses are allowable, what's unallowable, ways to process, ways to pay, approval and certifications. The EOA and EEC is within our business office. Account codes, which I showed you, policy resources, and how to get help. And that's it. Thank you.